Good morning, Keith Tebow from FRC Media. There are 19 candidates running for City Council on the September 19th municipal preliminary ballot here in Fall River, and we're doing our best to speak to as many as possible between now and then. I'm pleased to be joined right now by candidate Paulo Amaral, who ran in 2021, is looking to try again this year. Paulo, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me here, and I appreciate being here.
Let me ask you, what did you learn from that first run 2 years ago that you're taking into this run this year?
Well, I learned that I need to, personally, I think I need to get out there more and go door to door, which I plan on doing in the following weeks. But I think more interaction with the voters is what's needed. I think my message has always been the same, and it continues to be the same. So on that front, I'm good with what I stand for and what I believe in. I think it's just making people more aware that there is alternative choices. You don't have to pick the same candidates over and over again. Some of them have been in the city council for, over 20 years, 25 years. And I think bringing awareness to the voter that there is other candidates out there that can do the same job or even better, in my opinion, exist. And my message remains the same. And I hope that the voter gives me the opportunity to represent them and give them a voice.
Let me ask you, is there one issue that is dominating your discussion when you're talking to voters?
No, Keith, there's more than one issue.
Right.
There's to pick one issue. I mean, Florida has many positive things, but it does have its own issues. One of them being, crime. I have 2 kids in the city. I live in the South End, and we no longer, and I live in a safe neighborhood, but we no longer can let our kids go outside and ride bikes without checking on them every 2 to 5 minutes. So it's unfortunate that the city has become the way it has, and I think a lot of it has to do with failed policies from maybe this administration and previous administrations. We're short about 18 police officers right now. We allocated the money, we just don't, we don't have them in the force, and I understand that it's hard to recruit, but we got to anticipate these problems. We got to anticipate people are going to retire. We got to anticipate people are going to leave the department, and I think planning ahead is one thing that's missing in this city. Same thing with maintenance. We often buy graffiti machines, we buy a machine for the road, for this and that, and what it ends up doing is we don't have the person that's qualified to use the machine, or we just don't use it at all. It sits there in storage and it breaks down. So we need to, be proactive instead of being passive and letting things come to us. We need to anticipate, and basically, a good indicator of what's going on, or what will go on in the city, is look at the national level. What's going to happen in other cities is going to happen in Florida. It's just a matter of time. It's not brain science. That's what we need to do. We need to figure out where the issues are, where they're coming from, how long are they going to come, when are they going to come to Florida, and how do we deal with them?
Yeah, let me ask you, how you as a city councilor, how can you, because you'd be one of 9, how can you as a city councilor help sort of drive that discussion with whoever happens to be in the mayor's office? Right.
Well, I'm willing, past administrations, this administration, I have both praised them and criticized them. And I'm a fair person down the middle. To me, everybody has some good inputs, and I'm willing to work with anybody. And if the administration has great ideas, I will support those. If they have ideas I don't agree with, I will not support them. It's that simple. But to your point, I'm open to conversation. I'm open to listening and talking and figure out what's the best path and what can we do to better Fall River. That's all I care about. I want to give back to Fall River. It has given me everything I have, and I feel like it's my turn to do that. And that's what I'm trying to do, give back to the people and make sure that long-term, lifelong, and elderly citizens continue to live here. We have affordable housing, we have an adequate police system, or police force, and things of that nature. Taxes, I'm always worried. My parents, they're in their 70s, and I'm worried about, they pay, they have a house that they bought, and they would like to continue to live there. And we have increased rates, water and sewer rates, we have tax rates, and many people, matter of fact, they're taking, not just in, not in Florida particularly, but in the nation, they start taking reverse mortgages because they can't afford all the bills. They can't afford the maintenance, they can't afford the insurance, then the tax bill comes in, the water bill comes in. So, and some of these are veterans. So what are we doing to these people? You worked your whole life, you bought this house, you think it's yours, only to be burdened by the government trying to take what you worked for your whole life. It's ridiculous.
So what's your view in terms of taxes and fee increases? And how do you balance, as a city councilor, the council approves the budget every year, how do you balance having enough resources for the city to do its job while also looking at what taxpayers have to put up with?
Well, I mean, look, I'll start with this. The water and sewer rate, those increases for me have to stop, because we're so concerned about affordable housing. And what happens, Keith, when you raise taxes and you raise water and sewer? Let me tell you what happens. It gets passed down to the renter. That's what happens. It's the same thing with any corporation that takes on more expenses. It's going to get passed down to the renter. And even though, taking the housing crisis, for example, it's a national, worldwide actually, there's not much, on that level, there's few things we can do. One of the things we can do is control locally the taxes and the water and alleviate those to give the homeowner, the property owner, the renter some relief. But aside from that, we have a lot of ARPA funds that are still, I think we have about 25 million still available around there that we can use for capital improvements. And that's what we need to do in order to support our city budget, and give the taxpayers some kind of break. Use money and use it smartly,
You mentioned public safety and about the opening still in the police department. How can you, as a city councilor, help work with your colleagues and the police department in trying to either help with recruitment, provide ideas for recruitment, but also, trying to work with what the city has in terms of police officers?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we do in the city, and I know that we have a tourism office now, but I think it goes to the self-promotion. We have none. I think recruitment is like anything else. It's like a business that's trying to sell a pair of Nike shoes. You got to go out there and say, come to Fall River. You're going to get all this experience. We're going to pay you well. You're going to enjoy what you do. It's going to be a rewarding community for you to work on. You're not going to be in some town just sitting in your car. You're going to get real, world experience. Come to Fall River. It's a great city to be. There's great opportunity. And I think that's the key. Like, we have a lot of these positions that we can't hire for because we're not out there actively doing our best to promote our city and say how great this city is, and changing that negative image and say, yeah, maybe we're not going to give you Boston rates, but if you come here, you will be rewarded with the community. You will be rewarded with the people. There is, there is a lot to Fall River, and come here and come work here.
How can a city councilor, obviously we've got a school committee that handles, the school side of things, but how can a city council and council in general help with the education of our students and help promote quality education? They're getting a lot more money than they have in years past. So the money may not be an issue, I guess, is my
Well,
my
I mean, we can't, going to talk about money. We try to throw money at everything and hope it solves the problems, and it never does. But, as a city council, I think we can do the program that the current administration has going on with the pre-K and putting money into buildings and, supporting those ideas. I think that's what the councilor can do. Just support any idea really that promotes education, because that's very important. Without education, it's going to be very difficult. But I'm willing to support any idea that the administration puts forth, whether it's to buy a building, if it makes sense, and to increase pre-K and do what we got to do. I don't necessarily agree that sometimes the more money we put into something is going to fix things, especially with the school. We have, I believe net school spending is $180 million around there, and it doesn't necessarily given us the results that we want. So we got to be very creative and hire the right people. And I personally know some teachers in Fall River, and a lot of them care. So that's what we need. We need people that care, that are going to be role models, and that's what we got to do: support those people and support those ideas.
Let me ask you, as you're meeting with people, as you're campaigning between now and September 19th, how are you, what's your approach to them? What do you tell them about what you can do that may be different from other candidates that they may see on the ballot?
Well, I mean, I might start off saying this. Do you like the current direction of Fall River? Do you like where it's at? Do you like where it's going? And more often than not, the answer is no. So what are you going to do different? Are you going to keep voting for the same people that are in the city council, that made a career out of politics, that are in the circle, that are going to cater to this one or that one? Or are you going to take a chance on somebody new that wants to give you that voice, that knows what it's like to struggle, that knows what it's like to come from nothing, that knows what the city of Fall River is all about? These councilors right now, they've been there for a long time. Their mindset has completely changed. It's like when you hire somebody for a business the first year, 5 years, the first 6 years, you're a go-getter, you're ready to go. As you sit there longer and longer, your productivity falls. And it just keeps falling. And that's what's happening with the city council now. And even if for some reason you don't want to vote for me, there's other candidates there that are new that you should take a look at and give a chance. I hope it's me, but that's the message I bring. Let's look at the problems from a different perspective. Let's come up with, off-the-cuff solutions, the different solutions. Let's work together. And I feel like what's currently happened in the city council with the same councilors, you're going to get the same results every time you vote for them. So why not try something different?
Paul Amaral, I appreciate your time. Good luck on September 19th, and I welcome the opportunity to talk again before November. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you for having me here. Thanks, everybody.
All right. And thank you for joining us here on FRC Media. And please make a point to vote on Tuesday, September 19th.